is about to be revealed to Kenyans today is the doing of God, and we are humbled. Welcome, class, and today we are going to discuss forms of business unit. That one is a topic in Form 2 under business studies, and we are going to discuss right away so that you can be able to understand what are these forms of business unit. The objectives of the class, one of the objectives is that the learner should be able to define what a business unit is, and also the learner should be able to discuss different types of business unit. And the last objective is that the learner should be able to differentiate between sole proprietorship, partnership, companies, and cooperatives. And we are going to start by defining what a business unit is. And a business unit is an organization formed by one or more people with a view of engaging in a profitable activity. The reason as to why most of the people engage themselves in a business is to make profit and not to make losses. Having known that, we are going to move to a different chapter whereby business units are generally classified into private or public sector. And note that private sector comprises of business organizations that are owned by private individuals and not the government, while the public sector comprises business organizations owned by the government, meaning that the government take fully businesses. But the private sector can be owned by individual or a group of people, provided it is not owned by the government. And we are going to start by one of the business unit. That one is none other than sole proprietorship, which is also called as the trader or sole proprietor. This is a business enterprise owned by one person who is called a sole trader or a sole proprietor. It is the most common form of business unit and usually found in retail trade. Maybe, for example, we can talk about the small shop, kiosk, agriculture, and for direct services, e.g. gobblers, salons. When you talk about kiosk, they are owned by an individual or maybe 2 to 3 people. Small shops can be owned by individual and unlike partnership. One of the characteristics of this sole proprietorship is that the business is owned by one person and the capital contributed is from the owner's saving, and the owner is personally responsible for the management of the business and sometimes is assisted by members of his family. And also we can talk about in terms of decision making, is the one who makes the decision of his or her businesses without involving any other person, because he is the owner and he has got the right to make the decision. The next thing that we are going to talk about under features of sole proprietorship is that there are very few legal requirements to start the business. Provided you have got the business permit or the license, you can just start the business, unlike companies. Sole proprietorship is flexible. When you talk about flexibility, what we mean is that you can easily change from one business to another. And when you compare it to companies, there are certain procedures that you have to follow under Companies Act. And the next thing is about the formation. The formation of a sole proprietorship is very simple because you will only require a few legal formalities to start a sole proprietorship. One need only to raise the capital required and then apply for a trading license to operate the business, small fee. And usually small fee is paid and then the trade license is issued. The next thing is under the sources of capital. Where does the sole proprietor obtain his capital? How does he raise his capital? And one of the ways in which a sole proprietorship raises capital, one of the ways is that by borrowing from friends, banks, or money lending institution. Another way is that they can inherit from the family member. And also, he can contribute the capital from his own personal saving. He can also get goods on credit by buying the goods and maybe paying them at a later date. And maybe also getting goods on hire purchase by paying a very small amount of deposit and paying the installments annually. Leasing or renting out some properties, and maybe donation from friends and relatives. And maybe he also can obtain his capital by plowing back profits. Whenever he makes profits, he use it to do something else that it is directly related to his business. Management. Who manages the sole proprietorship business? The management of this kind of business is under one person, who is the owner, and not any other person. The family can only take in charge when the owner dies or when the owner is not around. But the person who manages the business or this kind of a business is a sole trader or a sole proprietor. We also have got some advantages of a sole proprietorship, and one of the advantages of sole proprietorship is that it requires few legal formalities to start. Provided you have got the business permit, you can just easily obtain the trade license and you resume with your business operation. The second thing, decision making and implementation is fast because the proprietor does not have to consult anybody, because he is the one who makes the decision without involving any other person. Thus, the process that is involved in making the decision is very fast. The trader has close and personal contact with customers. This helps them in knowing exactly what the customers need and hence satisfying those needs. The capital required to start the business is also very small, and anybody who can spare a small amount of money can start one. Disadvantages of sole proprietorship. One, it has got unlimited liability. When you talk about unlimited liability, this is what we mean. That if the assets available in the business are not enough to pay all the business debts, the personal property of the owner, such as the house, will be sold to meet his debts. There is insufficient capital for expansion because of scarce resources and lack of access to other sources. He or she is overworked and has no time for recreation. Then maybe the last one, there's lack of continuity in the sole proprietorship. When we talk about there's lack of continuity, this is what we mean. That when the owner or the sole trader or the sole proprietor dies, the business comes to an end, because he was the one who was responsible for the management, the formation, and everything. And he was the only one who was used to make the decision of the business. So when he or she dies, the operation of the business is what? It's ended up or wind up. And that is the end of our class today. So maybe we can meet in the next class. And in the next class, we are going to talk about something to do with partnership. So you can take this time and go and do a research of what and the definition of partnership actually, and some of the sources of capital for partnership. And when we meet next time, that is where we are going to start. Thank you.